Hello, good afternoon, happy Friday afternoon. Can you believe another week's just about to roll over? I thought I'd better jump on live because I haven't done a live video in so long, and I'm sorry about that. Life's just been moving in lots of different directions, which is great. Lots of new things that I've been offering and doing and studying breathwork and offering ice bath and breathwork classes and all sorts of things. But remember, hormone health will always be my great love and my main passion. It will always be the main area of work that I do with clients. So I wanted to share a little bit about thyroid health because this was actually a huge part of my health crisis, which occurred exactly 10 years ago. So it's my 10-year anniversary this year, which is pretty awesome. For those of you who have been following me for a while, a lot of you know my story. So at age 27, 28, around then 10 years ago, I was diagnosed as having started menopause. I put on a lot of weight very, very rapidly. I essentially had adrenal fatigue. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I had all those usual hormonal symptoms, the weight gain, hormonal acne. I was getting hot flashes. Periods were, non-existent, from heavy to painful. There was all sorts of things going on. But I never really have talked a lot about the thyroid aspect, the thyroid element to my health journey, because back then when I was getting all my treatment and testing done, from a medical point of view, they obviously tested my thyroid, and of course, your thyroid's normal, there's nothing wrong with your thyroid. I intuitively knew that my thyroid was wrong because you don't put on 14 kilos in a very short period of time, let alone 8 kilos in a 3-month period, and your thyroid's going to be normal. It's just the way it is. So I was lucky as a naturopath, I had a lot of knowledge. So I had put myself back then at the time on thyroid herbal medicines specifically, and some specific nutrients for the thyroid, being things like tyrosine and other sort of cofactors to thyroid health. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about thyroid in depth because, like I said, because it was brushed off by the medical industry and because, there was so much else going on, I really haven't given a lot of energy to thyroid health. And I do work a lot with thyroid, and I've been very, very blessed to be undertaking some mentoring and training under a really sophisticated doctor. His name's Dr. Daryl Turner, and he's the inventor of a machine called the Thyroflex. So his company is Nitec. He's based out of Arizona in America. Long story short, we met by chance. He's been living here on the Sunshine Coast for over 2 years because he was unable to return back to America because of mandates and restrictions surrounding that beautiful C word, which we won't go into. And so he's been mentoring me privately, which is an amazing opportunity. This man's up for a Nobel Peace Prize for all his work and his advancements in thyroid treatments and investigations. So I'm totally blessed, right? They say everything happens for a reason. So the thing is, my business is balance, and I teach people balance, hormone balance, right? But it's not just about our health balance. It's also very much about our mental, spiritual, and emotional balance as well. And I am a type A personality. I am 100 miles an hour. Probably got a little bit of undiagnosed ADHD. I'm an extremely motivated person. When I get an idea, when I'm inspired, when I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, I do go 100 miles an hour. And it's very, very easy for me to fall out of balance and end up quite fatigued. And I've sort of found myself in that space over the last couple of months, which is why I have stepped back a little bit in terms of the way I've been showing up within this group, in terms of work I've been doing, with my online programs, and just all that sort of stuff, because I have found myself starting to step back into that adrenal fatigue sort of thing. So with the work I've been doing with this doctor, I can see very, very, very clearly that I have a lot of symptoms that are basically indicating that my thyroid is quite underactive again. Now, I have a lot of knowledge. I eat very well. I attribute it also to the ice bath therapy that I do. So I don't struggle with my weight in any way, shape or form. But here's all the things that I do struggle with my thyroid at the moment. I'm going to let you know about them. So tired and sluggishness. So more often than not, I'm finding it harder to get out of bed at the moment, and by 6, 7 o'clock, I'm ready for bed. So I'm going to bed by 8 o'clock every night of the week. I have a constant feeling of coldness in my hands and feet. The tip of my nose is always cold. So that's very much a thyroid thing. My memory is shocking. It always used to be amazing. It's very easy for me to forget faces and names now, which I really don't like that. That freaks me out. I've always had very quiet, slower thinking, and this is a running joke, right? So people who know me, some of my family members might watch this and have a Google, but there's this thing called Stacey-isms. And this is where I stutter and I stumble, and all you people that watch my live videos will always pick up on me saying stupid things randomly, words that don't make sense, and muddling sentences. And I do that a lot, and I've done it for a really long time. And we call them Stacyisms. And my partner's got a list in his phone of all these mispronounced words and sentences that I've said that are actually hilarious, but actually not that funny, because what it actually is that my brain speed is slower. And so I'm having a thought, but to be able to actually get it out in the same speed as to what my thoughts are going, I muddle and mumble words constantly, okay? So it's a big issue. And the reason it's a big issue is because an underactive thyroid makes you 50% more likely to start getting something like Alzheimer's disease. Pretty scary stuff, right? Because I'm pretty sure every single one of us knows someone who's been touched by Alzheimer's disease. It's a terrible, terrible disease, and it really does, it's heartbreaking for not only the person with it, but all the people around it. So to continue on these, I'm chronically constipated. I've shared my journey with constipation, and this is why, as we know, I am the enema queen. I highly advocate those, because if I wasn't doing enemas, I would literally only move my bowels every second, maybe every 2-3 days. Not good. Leads to a lot of toxic buildup in the body, which of course then comes out the skin. My skin is, I guess we'll say, my Achilles heel. So that's my weakness. So if I continued in that toxic way where I wasn't removing waste, through the proper channel, through my bowels every single day, it would start coming out my skin. And that's when I start to notice more cystic acne on my back, eczema starting to flare up and stuff like that. And that is why coffee enemas has completely changed my life, right? Because I have this chronic constipation issue, and I eat all the fiber, I drink all the water, I do the exercise, I'll do all those normal mainstream stuff that me as a naturopath is telling you guys to do, but my body doesn't respond to those things, okay? Because I have an underactive thyroid. The coarse hair, hair loss. So if you look at my hair, I have balding, which is very, very thyroid related. Very, very thyroid related. I have a very hoarse voice. You can probably hear it now. I always have. This is an underactive thyroid problem, okay? Listen to my voice as I go. It's very hoarse. I've always joked, oh my God, my man voice. And when I'm tired, it's even 10 times worse. So it's a big, big thyroid problem. Puffy hands and feet. I have fat man hands. We love them. Unsteady gait. So I constantly am walking into the corner of beds and getting bruises on my legs. It's very, very, and it's a eye-hand coordination thing. It's a judgment thing, because that brain speed, that connection of me having a thought, then actually physically implementing the change is delayed. Okay. I'm lucky that I'm not gaining weight easy at the moment. Heavy period. I have heavy periods all the time. They're always heavy. They're not painful. So I was brushing that off, right? Because I've experienced painful periods in the past. I don't have them now, but I have very heavy clotty periods. And it's not uncommon for my cycle to be 25 days, 26 days. A normal period must be 28 days. So I have a lot of underactive thyroid symptoms. So the thing is, overall, I'm pretty healthy because I know what to do to look after myself, but these things are going on in the background. And so this is a pretty scary thing when we think about the whole Alzheimer's disease things, and we have a look at how much my underactive thyroid is actually affecting me. So I want to shed some light on this, because an underactive thyroid, they say 80% of people have a subclinical, non-diagnosed underactive thyroid. It's a big problem. We have extremes. I have what we would call, a minor underactive thyroid. I do not have autoimmunity going on. I don't have the Hashimoto's, whereas we have some extremes where we have women really struggling with those sorts of things. And one of the reasons why I have chosen to partner with this Dr. Turner, which largely his treatment model does eventually look at the using natural bioidentical thyroid hormones, which I had to sit with that for a little while. There was a big part of my ego initially was like, the body should be able to produce those hormones itself. If we can find why they're not, let's fix it. But I had to really surrender to that, because the reality is I work with some women, I work with a lot of women, and it's a really long, tough, long slog. It's a hard road thinking that we can just cure them 100% with just diet, nutrition, herbal medicine alone. Some women's underactive thyroid, and plus all the other spectrums that are going on, is so severe that the only way we can get them to a point where their body will even respond to the naturopathic treatment protocols, addressing the inflammation, healing the gut, the colon cleansing, the changing the diet, the self-esteem stuff, when they can't think straight, when they can't even, their memory, concentration, when they can't get out of bed in the morning, when they're plagued with aching joints and muscles all the time, you can imagine how difficult it is to treat holistically the slow, steady road. So this is why I really surrendered, and, I spent a lot of time meditating around it. And I had to really align with Dr. Turner's philosophy. And in all honesty, the fact that we had conversations around the COVID vaccination and he did not opt to have that medication was a big part of me really trusting him and trusting that he actually gets the body from a holistic perspective. He trusts, how it works. And that was a big part of me aligning with him and his treatment as well. So, the reality is some women need natural bioidentical thyroid hormones, okay? And a lot of you will be potentially already on thyroid hormones, things like your thyroxine, your levothyroxine, your oroxathine. There's a few different variations of it, right? From pharmaceutical company. But essentially, these are a synthetic form of T4. It is a snapshot of what is going on when it comes to your thyroid health. So when we look at the natural bioidentical thyroid hormones, we are utilizing a natural source. These are derived from, you can get them that are vegan, but there are sold ones that are derived from bovine or porcine. And they are in a natural state, and what that means is that they are all the different types of thyroid. So there are actually 7 different thyroid hormones. I know we only test T3 and T4 really, but there's 7 different ones. So these conclude all 7 of them. See, I'm struggling to get my words out as we are. It's my thyroid, sorry. So that for itself, so we've got the whole gamut there. So we're not just treating a snapshot with just a synthetic T4. Secondly, when we put something synthetic in the body gets slammed with it whether it needs it or not. Now, if you look at this universal consciousness that our food and things like natural supplements like your natural bioidentical hormones, there's this kind of, we'll call it this dance that goes on between the human cells and the life force of this thing that you're using. And this is why I will always usually opt where possible is more whole food supplements and herbal medicines versus synthetic nutrients. Now, synthetic nutrients do have a place, absolutely, but we use them as a medicine to fix something and then we want to get off them. You do not want to stay on synthetic nutrients your whole life because we lose that dance, that beautiful connection where the body innately knows how much it needs. So if you think about you eating a food, your body will only absorb what it knows it needs, okay? It'll stop absorbing once it doesn't need it anymore, okay? And it'll just move through us, and that's where sometimes we can get a looseness. Look at, things like your classic natural vitamin C, for example. If you have too much of that, you get diarrhea. It's not a big deal. It doesn't mean you're allergic to it. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It just means your body goes, I don't need this anymore. I've got enough, okay? And so same with anything natural origin. So this in itself, we get far better results with women using a natural bioidentical hormone versus a synthetic hormone. And the same goes for your natural bioidentical hormones if you want to go down that road. Now, again, I'm still the big believer that we want to correct your hormonal imbalances by addressing the reasons your hormones are out of balance by going through the 7-step hormone healing system, which looks at your adrenal and thyroid health, your colon health, your gut health, your liver health, nutrition, and then the emotional evolution elements, our energetic emotional blocks, which manifest in disease in the body. So this is where we've got with the thyroid, okay? Some women need that extra help, and that's why I'm working with this doctor. So I have, for those who are local here on the Sunshine Coast, I do have a new test. It's called the Thyroid Flex. If you don't live locally on the Sunshine Coast and you suspect you have thyroid problems, do a Google search for your local area and find a practitioner in your area who will test, using the Thyroid Flex, test your thyroid function, okay, if you're struggling with your weight. And this is the heartbreaking thing that I see. So many of the women that I work with who are, very overweight, but they're actually following my diets to a T. They're eating perfectly and they're exercising, yet no weight is shifting. And there's nothing more disheartening than that. So basically, this is where they need that extra support. And so this is, I've started myself on a journey. I'm not using the natural bioidentical hormones at this point. I may be. I'm basically going to treat myself as I did back 10 years ago with a heavy duty protocol. And I'm going to share this with you now. So from a herbal medicine point of view, I'll be using herbs such as bladderwrack and withania, also known as ashwagandha, things like schisandra, rhodiola, and some other sort of digestive sort of bits in there as well. And I'll be doing that for 3 months. I'll also be using a natural vitamin D. Now, when you think of it like this, so the thyroid needs 3 key things to function properly. Just like a car needs petrol, oil, and water, the thyroid needs iodine, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2. If you're deficient in any of those 3 things, your thyroid's not going to work. So for some people, correcting your thyroid and boosting your metabolism and getting you going again can be as simple as supplementing with those sorts of things, high dose. Now, we do monitor that. We don't just run out to the shops and grab those things because 99% of the vitamin D that you buy from a chemist or a pharmacy or even a health food store is toxic crap. Do not self-prescribe vitamin D. It's basically derived from lanolin, which is dead sheep's, and it's not good for you. It's very toxic and it's very, very bad. We need to be on a natural plant-based vitamin D, and we need to be on the correct dose for you. The K2, same deal. There's so many synthetic crappy versions of this. You've got to be in the right form for you. And then the same as the iodine. The iodine isn't as tricky in terms of the form, but it needs to be taken in conjunction with selenium. And you can actually go a really, really high dose, but you have to work your way up to that dose very, very slowly, because getting those three things right can be a very simple thing. So 2 of the tests that I do here in clinic is called the Oligo Scan, and it will test all your vitamins and all your minerals, so we know exactly where you're at for you personally. And then the Thyroid Flex, which is basically testing your reflex speed and your brain speed. Those 2 things which are governed by your thyroid health. If those 2 things are slow, you 100% have an underactive thyroid, and it's going to affect your mood, it's going to affect your hormones, it's going to affect your digestive system, it's going to affect your menstrual cycle, your fertility, your ability to maintain weight. The list goes on and on and on. Our thyroid hormones have an effect on every single cell within the body because they control our metabolism, so the rate at which our cells work. Okay, so it's a big, big thing. So I just thought I'd share, that's where I'm at with my thyroid journey. Can you relate? Do you have some of those symptoms yourself? I will report back in and keep you updated on my protocol with the herbs and the vitamin D and iodine, all that stuff that I'm taking, and then obviously be retesting myself to see where we're at. I have full faith in myself and my ability as a naturopath, and also the innate wisdom of plant medicines and herbs to be able to restore myself. So I'm hoping that I can avoid going down the natural bioidentical hormones, because my my thyroid scores are not terrible. Well, they're pretty bad actually. Like, everything's pretty slow at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. And that's why I've been feeling it lately. I've been feeling very fatigued, very overwhelmed, very just like brain dead, for lack of a better word. Brain fog, there's been that going on. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but just know that there is help. If you're unsure, reach out, we can have a conversation. If you need help finding a practitioner in your area, reach out, I can help you out. But know that you don't have to suffer in silence. Your thyroid is a big issue, and it is very likely that it is causing problems within your body as well. So I hope that's been helpful. See you later.